Imagine opening your favorite digital platform on a quiet evening, expecting the usual stream of casual content, only to find your entire digital ecosystem completely overtaken by a spectacular, high-octane phenomenon that seems to have materialized out of nowhere. Suddenly, your feed is an endless hypnotic loop of cinematic edits featuring charismatic young athletes navigating high-speed corners. Micro-documentaries detailing the intricate personal dynamics between teammates like Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, and slow-motion style breakdowns of paddock fashion icons like Alexandre Leclerc. Even mainstream pop culture conversations are suddenly adjusting their focus, pulling prominent public figures like Kim Kardashian into the orbit of a sport that, until very recently, felt like a distant, highly insulated universe. If you have noticed this massive shift in the cultural landscape, you are far from alone, as millions of people around the world are currently experiencing the exact same digital awakening. What was once perceived by many as a niche, traditionalist European racing discipline has rapidly evolved into the internet's most lucrative, dramatic, and deeply addictive global obsession. The algorithms of the modern world have spoken, and they are directing humanity's collective attention toward a spectacle that operates at the absolute intersection of extreme wealth, peak human performance, and unrelenting psychological warfare. Before we pull back the curtain and dive deep into the fascinating machinery of this global phenomenon, take a brief moment to join our community by subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications, ensuring you never miss a single chapter of the extraordinary stories we uncover every single week. This journey is one you will want to follow closely from the very beginning, as the reality behind the glamour is far more intricate than anyone could ever anticipate from a simple video clip. To truly understand how this massive transformation captured the global imagination, one must first look at the unique subcultures that have suddenly entered the mainstream spotlight, particularly the immense fascination surrounding what is commonly known as the wives and girlfriends culture of elite sports. For decades, traditional athletic fandom was defined almost exclusively by statistics, historical rivalries, and mechanical technicalities, leaving the human element somewhat secondary to the final score. Today, however, the narrative has completely shifted as audiences find themselves deeply invested not just in who crosses the finish line first, but in the complex web of relationships, lifestyle aesthetics, and personal journeys that unfold behind the garage doors. This entry point has acted as a powerful gateway, recruiting an entirely new demographic of enthusiasts who may have never previously considered themselves fans of motorsport, yet find themselves utterly captivated by the reality television levels of drama that define the paddock. This is a world where a driver's choice of casual attire while walking into a venue can spark standard internet discourse for days, and where the interpersonal chemistry between competitors is analyzed with the intensity of a psychological thriller. It is a brilliant blend of high fashion, elite athletic competition, and premium lifestyle content that transforms each race weekend into a global event comparable to a traveling fashion week or a high society summit. The sport has effectively broken free from the confines of the traditional sports segment, establishing itself as a permanent fixture of contemporary pop culture and digital media, yet beneath this pristine, polished exterior of yacht-filled harbors, celebrity guest appearances, and multi-million-dollar sponsorships lies a world that is fundamentally wilder, more brutal, and infinitely more complex than its glossy surface suggests. For the uninitiated, it is easy to look at the screen and see nothing more than incredibly expensive machines traveling rapidly in continuous circles on a stretch of pristine asphalt. But those who take the time to look closer quickly realize that this environment is governed by a level of intensity that pushes human capability and engineering to their absolute geometric limits. The sheer scale of the operation is staggering, spanning 24 race weekends distributed across 5 distinct continents, forcing an elite group of individuals to constantly circumnavigate the globe while battling intense physical exhaustion, rapid climate shifts, and relentless time zone adjustments. Each venue possesses its own distinct personality and unique set of challenges, from the claustrophobic, unforgiving street circuits of Monaco where overtaking is deemed nearly impossible, to the neon-drenched, high-pressure environments of Miami and Las Vegas where the demands of celebrity culture threaten to eclipse the sporting event itself. There is the oppressive, suffocating heat of Singapore that tests the very limits of human endurance, and the historic, chaotic passion of Monza, where the absolute devotion of local enthusiasts creates an atmosphere that feels less like a sporting venue and more like a massive, Sacred cathedral dedicated to the pursuit of pure velocity, this traveling circus of speed operates under a set of stakes so incredibly high that even the slightest miscalculation, measured in a mere fraction of a single second, can instantly dismantle a multi-million-dollar championship campaign or redefine the trajectory of an entire career. There is no room for error, no safety net for mediocrity, and absolutely no patience for those who cannot consistently deliver perfection under the most intense global scrutiny imaginable. It is an environment of profound scarcity where only a tiny handful of elite individuals are ever permitted to step into the spotlight and prove their worth on the ultimate international stage. As we prepare to venture further into the heart of this intense universe in the next chapter of our report, the true nature of the competition begins to crystallize, revealing a landscape where loyalty is a rare commodity. Pressure is an atmospheric constant, and the boundary between spectacular triumph and devastating catastrophe is razor-thin. The glittering surface is merely the introduction to a narrative defined by relentless ambition, mechanical genius, and an unforgiving structure where only the strongest survive. Stay tuned as we prepare to transition into the core mechanics of this extraordinary world, where the illusion of effortless glamour gives way to the gritty, high-stakes reality of the ultimate racing discipline. Welcome to the inner sanctum of the grid, a place where the pristine illusion of effortless glamour completely evaporates, revealing a landscape governed by ruthless corporate ambition, staggering financial investments, and an unforgiving system of political and athletic survival. To truly comprehend the gravity of this environment, one must look at the brutal mathematics of the grid, which currently accommodates only 11 elite teams, each fielding a mere 2 drivers. This means that in the entire world, across a global population of billions, there are only 22 highly coveted, full-time race seats available in this pinnacle of motorsport. This extreme scarcity creates a pressure cooker of professional anxiety and relentless competition, where drivers are constantly aware that they are only ever one poor performance away from total obsolescence. The teams themselves function as independent, multi-million-dollar entities, each possessing its own unique history, distinct aesthetic, massive financial backing, and highly specific brand of internal drama. Choosing a team to support is not merely a casual aesthetic preference, it is an initiation into a distinct subculture and a specific lifestyle. Consider the legendary institution of Ferrari, the iconic red team whose fan base, known globally as the Tifosi, displays a level of absolute devotion that borders on the spiritual. It is a common saying within the industry that Italy possesses 2 central pillars of cultural faith, the traditional Roman Catholic Church and the sacred racing heritage of Ferrari. To wear the scarlet uniform is to bear the crushing weight of an entire nation's expectations, where victories are celebrated as national triumphs and defeats are analyzed with the solemnity of a national tragedy. In sharp contrast to this heavy historic legacy sits McLaren, an organization that has masterfully cultivated a youthful, vibrant, and chronically online energy, capturing the hearts of a younger demographic through transparent digital media and relatable, charismatic driver pairings. Then there is Red Bull Racing, a dominant force that operates with a cold, calculated, and often villain-coded precision, prioritizing absolute victory above all else. Mercedes-AMG represents an era of unparalleled engineering legacy, corporate execution, and the historic dominance of the peak Lewis Hamilton championship years. Beneath these titans, organizations like Williams carry the torch of the traditional old-school underdog, embodying a gritty determination that commands universal respect across the paddock. Because the barrier to entry is so high and the available real estate is so incredibly limited, the driver market is a continuous, predatory battleground. Drivers can be abruptly swapped between organizations, unceremoniously dropped from their contracts, demoted to junior squads, or completely bought out of their remaining terms to make room for the next big phenomenon. The sport has no room for sentimentality. A driver can be the celebrated face of a premier manufacturer one season, and by the next, they are wearing the colors of a backmarker team, fighting for their professional life in an inferior vehicle against the very individuals they used to call coworkers. This volatility is further magnified by a staggering internal salary gap that highlights the sharp contrast between the sport's megastars and its entry-level talent. Elite multiple-time world champions command astronomical annual earnings that reach tens of millions of dollars, supplemented by lucrative global endorsement portfolios, while those at the bottom of the grid subsist on a fraction of that wealth, fighting desperately for the contract extensions that ensure their survival. When the annual silly season arrives near the end of a competitive calendar, contract rumors transform into a high-stakes corporate thriller, with managers, team principals, and billionaire owners playing a complex game of human chess. However, the most fundamental truth that every newcomer must grasp is that this is not an equal playing field. The cars themselves are entirely different. Unlike standard racing series where athletes compete in identical machinery, each organization must independently design, manufacture, and develop its own vehicle from scratch within a highly complex framework of technical regulations. This means that an exceptionally talented driver trapped in a poorly engineered car has virtually zero chance of winning a Grand Prix, while a competent, average driver operating an engineering masterpiece possesses a massive, almost insurmountable competitive advantage. If a top-tier engineering team misinterprets the regulatory rulebook and designs a fundamentally flawed aerodynamic concept, an entire multi-million-dollar season can be completely ruined before the drivers ever have a realistic opportunity to turn a wheel in anger. The financial landscape required to sustain this technical arms race is completely astronomical. Even with a strict global cost cap designed to level the playing field, the annual performance-related spending limit sits at an incredible $215 million per team. To break down these numbers further, industry estimates place the cost of producing a single highly sophisticated vehicle at approximately $16 million. The revolutionary hybrid power unit alone demands an investment exceeding $7.5 million. A single button-clad carbon fiber steering wheel costs roughly $50,000. And a simple replacement set of aerodynamic front and rear wings can easily clear $200,000. Consequently, when a driver makes a microscopic error in judgment, lightly clipping an unforgiving concrete wall during a tight street race, they are not just compromising their track position. They are literally obliterating hundreds of thousands of dollars of precision engineering in a single second. This exorbitant financial reality is exactly why fans and analysts spend countless hours engaging in fierce debates regarding aerodynamic upgrades, mechanical design philosophies, and whether a dominant champion is genuinely the greatest driver of their generation or simply an incredibly fortunate individual sitting in the absolute best car on the grid. When you observe these machines from the comfort of a television screen, the broadcast tracking shots can make the act of driving look strangely serene, almost effortless. In stark reality, the interior of a cockpit is a 1,700-pound panic room. It is an environment that is intensely hot, incredibly cramped, deafeningly loud, and profoundly punishing to the human anatomy. The driver is tightly strapped into a molded carbon fiber seat, traveling at speeds well exceeding 200 miles per hour, while simultaneously managing tire degradation, monitoring brake temperatures, defending against aggressive rivals, executing complex overtaking maneuvers, and adjusting dozens of intricate steering wheel settings on the fly. The steering wheel itself resembles the command console of a futuristic spacecraft, featuring an array of dials, switches, and digital displays that regulate everything from differential entry to energy recovery systems. There is absolutely no air conditioning inside this motorized oven, with cockpit temperatures frequently soaring to suffocating levels during tropical events. Throughout this entire physical ordeal, the athlete is required to maintain a continuous, highly focused radio dialogue with their designated race engineer. This engineer serves as the driver's critical link to the outside world, delivering real-time data regarding tire longevity, precise intervals to chasing vehicles, impending weather fronts, potential track penalties, complex pit stop strategies, and sudden alterations to the overarching race plan. These team radio communications have become legendary within digital culture, frequently going viral across social media platforms because they reveal the raw, unedited humanity of the competitors. In the heat of the moment, these elite athletes are captured cussing in absolute frustration, panicking over mechanical failures, celebrating victories with unbridled joy, or delivering sassy, diva-like retorts to their pit wall. Yet behind the lighthearted memes lies the ever-present shadow of danger. While modern engineering has made the sport infinitely safer than the lethal eras of the past, it remains an endeavor where individuals are hurtling around historic circuits at lethal velocities, separated from solid concrete barriers and competing vehicles by a matter of mere inches. A single mechanical failure, an unexpected patch of standing water, or a microscopic misjudgment between two rival vehicles can permanently alter a life in a fraction of a heartbeat. It is a world of unparalleled luxury, but one that is fundamentally built upon a foundation of absolute, undeniable peril. To truly appreciate the sheer scale of human endurance required to operate these mechanical beasts, one must completely dismantle the common misconception that sitting down in a motorized vehicle cannot be considered a true athletic endeavor. The physical demands imposed on an elite driver during a Grand Prix weekend are nothing short of extraordinary. Multiple-time world champion Lewis Hamilton has openly detailed the extreme physical toll of a single race distance, revealing that a driver can lose up to 4 kilograms or roughly 8 pounds of pure fluid weight over the course of less than 2 hours inside the blistering cockpit. The structural margins are so narrow that if an athlete is even a single kilogram over their optimal target weight, it can translate directly to a loss of up to 2 seconds over the full race distance. On average, these athletes burn through more than 1,500 calories and lose up to 5% of their total body mass per event due to intense perspiration and physical exertion. To prevent shorter, naturally lighter drivers from gaining an unfair competitive advantage, strict regulatory frameworks dictate a minimum driver reference weight of 82 kilograms, requiring teams to use ballast if necessary. Furthermore, while traditional sports often emphasize the development of an athlete's legs or arms, this elite motorsport universe places an almost comical emphasis on the neck. The extreme gravitational forces generated by high-speed cornering pull the driver's head and heavy safety helmet sideways with immense power, requiring specialized physical preparation. To combat these intense loads, drivers undergo intense, highly specialized physical regimens utilizing heavy resistance bands, custom-weighted helmets, and complex training machinery that resembles historical torture devices, ultimately developing remarkably thick neck musculature that has become a defining physical trait of the grid. Additionally, the continuous physical strain leaves absolutely no opportunity for standard biological breaks during a competitive event. While some drivers have candidly admitted to relieving themselves directly into their fireproof racing suits during a long Grand Prix, others maintain that the intense concentration and heavy sweating usually prevent the need entirely. To stay conscious and focused, they rely on a specialized onboard fluid delivery system that pumps hydration directly through a flexible tube embedded inside their helmet, allowing them to drink while navigating tight corners at blistering speeds. This intense physical trial unfolds across a structured 3-day competitive weekend that functions as a masterclass in tension and execution. The journey begins on Friday with multiple free practice sessions, providing teams with a critical window to send their vehicles out onto the circuit to gather essential telemetry data, evaluate different tire compounds, and refine mechanical setups. Saturday introduces the high-stakes intensity of qualifying, a pure, unadulterated speed trial where drivers push their machinery to the absolute limit on low fuel loads to secure the fastest possible single lap time, which ultimately determines the starting grid positions for the main event. Sunday is the definitive climax where raw mechanical velocity, complex pit wall strategies, rapid tire degradation, changing weather patterns, sudden accidents, and strict track penalties all collide into a dramatic narrative. Some modern race weekends also feature an additional element known as a sprint, which is a highly compressed, short-distance race held on Saturday that offers extra championship points to the top finishers while introducing a massive logistical headache for teams trying to preserve their expensive hardware for the grand finale within this intense timeline. The strategic execution of a pit stop represents one of the most visually breathtaking spectacles in all of contemporary sports. When a driver steers their vehicle down the pit lane to replace worn rubber, they are placing their entire race fate into the hands of a highly synchronized crew of roughly 20 mechanics. Because tires lose grip rapidly over time and fresh rubber can unlock immense performance advantages, the timing of these stops is paramount. However, stopping costs significant time relative to cars remaining on the main track, meaning a single mistake can allow multiple rivals to pass instantly. To mitigate this risk, pit crews train relentlessly to achieve a level of fluid perfection that allows them to change all 4 tires in roughly 2 seconds, with the current world record standing at an almost unbelievable 1.80 seconds. A sloppy, delayed stop can instantly destroy an entire weekend of perfect preparation, causing passionate fans around the globe to lose their minds over strategic blunders. And shifting the narrative from a test of pure driver skill to a high-stakes battle of engineering, logistics, and management under pressure, this collective effort feeds directly into 2 independent, multi-million-dollar reward structures that govern the entire hierarchy of the sport: the World Drivers' Championship and the World Constructors' Championship. The Drivers' Championship is the highly visible, glamorous individual title that every athlete dreams of winning from childhood, where points are awarded to the top 10 finishers of each Grand Prix, with the race victor claiming substantial 25 points. Simultaneously, the Constructors' Championship tracks the cumulative points scored by both vehicles representing the same manufacturer. While less celebrated by casual viewers, this team title is of paramount importance to the organizations themselves, directly dictating their global prestige, corporate sponsor appeal, internal staff bonuses, and, most importantly, the distribution of massive financial prize pools. Recent industry estimates indicate that the winning manufacturer can secure a staggering payout of roughly $175 million, while even the lowest-ranked organizations walk away with more than $75 million. This financial reality creates an intense internal dynamic, because if one superstar driver is consistently winning races while their struggling teammate fails to score points, the organization faces a massive financial crisis that can compromise their engineering budget for subsequent years. This intricate structure turns the relationship between teammates into the most fascinating psychological dynamic in modern sports. In almost any other athletic discipline, teammates are expected to cooperate fully to secure a collective victory. In this world, however, your teammate is simultaneously your most vital ally and your most dangerous professional threat. Because they are operating the exact same engineering hardware, your teammate is the only individual on Earth who can completely expose your limitations as an athlete. If they consistently outperform you in identical machinery, it instantly damages your market value and professional reputation across the entire paddock. Some organizations attempt to manage this tension by maintaining strict equality, allowing both competitors to battle fiercely on the track. Other teams clearly establish a definitive number one driver, forcing the secondary athlete to play a subservient supporting role, sacrificing their own personal ambitions to protect their leader. This secondary seat can often feel profoundly cursed, particularly within ruthless environments like Red Bull Racing, where superstar Max Verstappen has maintained an absolute stronghold on his side of the garage for a decade, while the seat next to him has become a revolving door of talent. In stark contrast, organizations like McLaren have recently faced the opposite corporate dilemma, managing two exceptionally matched, fiercely competitive young drivers without making either feel secondary. The journey to reaching this precarious pinnacle requires a lifetime of immense sacrifice, beginning when most drivers are literal children. Future champions frequently begin their competitive careers in international karting championships as early as 4 years old, developing razor-sharp racing instincts long before they ever learn basic academic skills. From there, a tiny percentage of wealthy and talented individuals progress through an incredibly expensive ladder of junior single-seater categories, moving through Formula 4, Formula 3, and Formula 2, while fighting desperately to earn the elusive regulatory points required to secure an official FI superlicense. The ultimate barrier to entry, however, remains entirely financial. The astronomical costs of competitive karting, global travel, professional coaching, mechanical support, and junior team entry fees can easily total millions of dollars before an athlete is even legally old enough to operate a standard road vehicle in their home country. While pure, unadulterated talent is an absolute necessity, structural survival almost always requires immense family wealth, major corporate sponsorships, or the early backing of a major manufacturer's driver academy. Ultimately, it is this unique combination of extreme wealth, absolute scarcity, and intense human drama that has transformed Formula One from a traditional racing series into the internet's most addictive global phenomenon. It functions as a magnificent, traveling spectacle that seamlessly blends elite athletics with elite fashion, ultra-exclusive networking, high-end travel aesthetics, and real-time reality television. This glamorous identity is further solidified by the fact that many of the grid's top stars choose to reside in the tax haven of Monaco, surrounding themselves with luxury yachts, private helicopters, and unparalleled privacy. When the circus arrives in town, the paddock transforms into a premium red carpet, where drivers showcase designer streetwear and their high-profile partners become major global-style influencers. This fascinating universe was brought directly into the living rooms of the general public through the monumental success of the docuseries Drive to Survive, which